Imagine a world without cities, without laws, without writing, a world where humanity was scattered, living in small nomadic groups, constantly at the mercy of the elements. Now picture a sudden, brilliant flash in the darkness of prehistory. In a sun-scorched land nestled between two powerful rivers, something extraordinary begins to unfold. It's here, in this cradle of civilization, that our story begins. Not with a king or a conqueror, but with a single humble grain of barley. This tiny seed, cultivated by hands long turned to dust, would trigger a revolution that would forever alter the course of human history. It would give rise to the world's first cities, the first empires, the first written laws, and the first epic poems. This is the story of Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers. A story of innovation, ambition, and the birth of the modern world from the fertile mud of the Tigris and Euphrates. It's a tale that proves that the greatest revolutions often start with the smallest of seeds, and what grew from that soil was nothing short of humanity itself. Long before the pyramids of Egypt pierced the sky, before the philosophers of Greece pondered the meaning of existence, the people of Mesopotamia were already building a world of unprecedented complexity. They looked at the wild, unpredictable floods of the Tigris and Euphrates, not as a curse, but as a challenge they met with incredible ingenuity. They dug canals, intricate webs of life-giving water that tamed the rivers and turned arid plains into the world's first breadbasket. This agricultural surplus wasn't just about food, it was about time. For the first time, people had the luxury of doing more than just surviving. They could become priests, artisans, soldiers, and scholars. Villages swelled into towns, and towns exploded into sprawling, magnificent cities like Uruk, Ur, and Babylon. These weren't just settlements, they were bustling hubs of trade, culture, and power, with populations in the tens of thousands. Picture yourself walking through the streets of Uruk around 3000 BCE. Towering above you is the ziggurat, a colossal stepped pyramid dedicated to the city's patron god, a man-made mountain reaching for the heavens. The air is thick with the sounds of 100 different workshops. The clang of the coppersmith's hammer, the whir of the potter's wheel, a device they invented, and the chatter of merchants haggling in the marketplace over goods from as far away as the Indus Valley. But perhaps the most revolutionary sound is the quiet scratching of a stylus on a wet clay tablet. This is the birth of writing. What started as a simple system of pictograms to track grain and livestock, known as cuneiform, would evolve into a sophisticated script capable of recording laws, literature, and the deepest thoughts of humankind. The Epic of Gilgamesh, the world's first great literary work, tells the story of a king grappling with his own mortality. It's a timeless human story, written down thousands of years before Homer. This explosion of innovation wasn't always peaceful. With great wealth comes great conflict. The city-states of Sumer, Akkad, Babylon, and Assyria were in a near-constant state of flux, rising and falling in a dramatic dance of diplomacy and warfare. Visionary leaders like Sargon of Akkad forged the world's first empire, uniting the disparate cities under a single banner through military might. His reign set a new precedent for what was possible, a centralized state governing diverse peoples over a vast territory. Centuries later, the Babylonian king Hammurabi would give the world one of its most important legal legacies, the Code of Hammurabi. Carved onto a massive stone stele, his 282 laws were not the first, but they were the most comprehensive, establishing the principle of an eye for an eye, and attempting to bring justice and order to his sprawling empire. It was a declaration that society should be governed by written, impartial laws, not the whims of the powerful. The Mesopotamians were also humanity's first great astronomers and mathematicians. Staring up at the same stars we see today, they meticulously mapped the heavens. They charted the movements of the planets, developed a complex lunar calendar, and divided the hour into 60 minutes and the minute into 60 seconds, a system we still use every single day. Their base 60 mathematical system also gave us the 360 degrees in a circle. They weren't just stargazers. They were trying to understand the universe and find their place within it, believing the celestial bodies held sway over their destinies. Their temples were not just places of worship, but observatories and centers of learning, where priests and scribes pushed the boundaries of human knowledge. Every time you check your watch or look at a map, you are interacting with the intellectual legacy of Mesopotamia. But like all great civilizations, Mesopotamia's golden age could not last forever. A succession of devastating invasions, from the Hittites with their iron chariots to the mighty Persian Empire, gradually chipped away at its foundations. The intricate canal systems fell into disrepair, the great cities began to shrink, and the cuneiform script, once the language of kings and scholars, slowly faded into obscurity, replaced by simpler alphabets. By the time Alexander the Great marched his armies across the land, the once mighty heart of civilization was a shadow of its former self. For nearly 2,000 years, the stories, the laws, and the incredible achievements of Mesopotamia lay buried and forgotten beneath the sands of modern-day Iraq. The ziggurats crumbled into mounds of earth, and the world forgot the names of Gilgamesh, Sargon, and Hammurabi. It wasn't until the 19th century that a new breed of explorer, the archaeologist, began to unearth this lost world. Armed with shovels and an insatiable curiosity, they dug into the mysterious mounds scattered across the landscape and rediscovered the magnificent cities of old. They deciphered the strange wedge-shaped writing on countless clay tablets, and suddenly, an entire civilization spoke again after millennia of silence. They gave us back our own origin story. The rise of Mesopotamia is more than just a chapter in a history book. It's the foundational story of all urban life. It's a powerful reminder that every city we live in, every law we obey, and every story we write owes a debt to those first innovators who dared to build a new world between two rivers. Their legacy is not written in stone, but in the very fabric of our society. So the next time you look up at a skyscraper, think of the ziggurat of Ur. When you read a contract, remember Hammurabi's code. And when you feel that timeless human urge to leave a mark on the world, remember the scribes of Sumer, who, with a simple piece of reed and a lump of clay, ensured their world would never be truly lost. The story of Mesopotamia is our story, the beginning of our shared journey as a civilization. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back to the dawn of history. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more explorations into our incredible past. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious.